D&T show is intended for mature audiences. Parental discussion is advice. Live long and prosper, bitches.
Shall we just start right off the bat with a Las Vegas update?
Are we still talking Vegas, right?
We are.
Talking about Vegas.
Yes. You're coming to Vegas, right? Star Trek Las Vegas may take place every August, but on this show...
This is where we hang out the rest of the year.
Exactly.
The crew has been fatigued now from so many months in space, and they need to take a break. The landing party has beamed down to check out the terrain while the crew gets ready to play. They say there's only plant life living on this lovely rock, but a rodent up here's wearing a vest.
Good morning. This is Janice Sanborn coming at you live from Shore Leave here with
Kelly Medding.
And we're going to do a small, quick interview. So sit back, relax, have your tea or your coffee, whatever your poison happens to be, and enjoy. So Kelly, I know Nick knows a lot about you.
Yeah.
I only know the little bit that Nick's shared with me. So how did you get into writing?
I don't even know. Like, it's something that I've done probably since I think the first thing I ever scribbled down was around when I was 12. And it was really, really bad. It was like basically Sweet Valley High fan fiction. It was awful. I'm not sad that my best friend at the time got mad at me in a fit of teenage rage and threw it away because it was bad. But it's just something I've kind of done ever since then. I did a lot more screenwriting in high school and college, and then I got into doing actual fan fiction for different fandoms in college, which led me back to prose, and then I started doing original stuff. So it's kind of something I've always done. Even before I wrote them down, like I was always making up stories in my head. Like I had little plastic animals that I would take out in the yard and like make little stories about their lives and everything like that. So always been a storyteller, even if I didn't share it before.
So what made you decide to share it?
A lot of it was encouragement. When I was in college, I went out to Los Angeles for a semester to do a film institute semester, basically. And one of the courses was screenwriting, and the professor's name was Chris Young, and he had done some produced screenplays. Teen Angel? I think it was done in the 80s. I think that was the name of the one. I was like, I've actually heard of this, but he really, really liked the screenplay that I wrote for the class, and he was very, very encouraging about me sharing my talent. He was one of the first people in my life to actually say, yeah, I think you could be good at this. So I was like, okay. So it kind of helped with the courage to kind of start taking that leap and, researching agents and doing stuff like that.
Okay. When you are, do you do a lot of traveling to different conventions like this, or are you exclusively Shore Leave, or?
Almost exclusively Shore Leave. I've been coming, I think we figured this was 14 years. So, I came here as an aspiring author like a lot of other people, and it was really fun. The first year I got to go up to Howard Weinstein, who I've been going to the writing workshop forever, and say, I was one of your students for all these years, and look, I'm published now, and it was really cool. And then I started being part of the team that runs the writing workshop. So, but mostly I do Shore Leave. I do Farpoint now too. I did that for a while, and then I stopped, and now we go back. And every now and then I do another convention, because there's a ton out there, but you've got to travel and you've got to pay for the hotel and expenses and stuff like that, so sometimes it's not always worth it, but you kind of have to try them out. One of these days I'll get to the really big romance conventions where you actually get to mingle with hundreds of other people, and it's but one day.
As an author, where do people find your material mostly?
I think in general, everybody finds most of their material on Amazon, but that's just because Amazon has become the book monster. But most of my stuff is available still in paperback, so you can get it, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, some of the other outlets that are still out there. Everything's available on ebook too, Kindle, Nook, Kobo, all the different formats. Cool. Some things are exclusively ebook only, but,
And what's your most current book or series that you have?
The most current thing I can't have out is actually a story with Crazy Eights Press, their new anthology, the Kickstarter they did for Pangea. So I was really excited to work. I never had a chance to work with Mike Friedman before, so that was a lot of fun. I looked up, him and Peter David and all those people when I was still an unknown person. It's like, oh my gosh, these are real authors. So it's really neat to be able to work with them.
I think that would have been mind-blowing.
Yeah.
I don't know that I'd be able to speak with them at that point.
At first I couldn't. I was just like, oh my gosh, I respect you so much. Now it's like, wow, we chat and, we're friends, and it's really neat.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But I noticed that there's a nice strong tie between the authors and the editors that when they're at the show.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, specifically Marco Palmieri, he did the Star Trek books for a long time with Pocket Books, and I know he's recently moved on to other things. But yeah, like they're very, a lot of the Star Trek editors are really involved because they're all, with the fans and the fandom and everything like that. So it's really nice.
So here's an interesting question.
Uh-oh.
If you could take any of your characters and put them in a Star Trek hologram program, which character would you pick and which program would you use?
Well, I can't say that I'm very far up on the hologram. The only hologram program I can think of is like the Sherlock Holmes Professor Moriarty one, because it's been a long time since I've watched Next Gen. But that would be kind of a kick to take Evie Stone from the Dreg City books and stick her in like a whodunit like that. Because she's not like the critical thinker. She's kind of like kick ass and take names type of a lead character. So that would be kind of a hoot.
You should be beating everybody up on their way.
Yeah. She's like, answer my question, slam their head into the ground.
Answer yet? That's awesome. When you write a story, is it something that has been kind of like tumbling in your head for a little while, like the characters peek out and make themselves known, or do you just see something and it all just kind of happens?
It's a little bit of both. I guess it kind of depends on the project. Usually when I start something new, it's been tumbling around for a little while because I'm very rarely able to just be like, all right, I'm going to sit down and write this today. So, there's always some thought ahead of, even if it's a week, a couple of months, I've got files of ideas that have been marinating for years that, maybe one day they'll actually produce something. But, yeah, I mean, there's always a lot of forethought to at least the characters. Like, I need to know who they are before I even start writing the book. We were talking about that in the writer's workshop yesterday, where it's like the zero spot. Like, you need to know what got your characters to the point where the story begins, or else you have really no way of knowing how to move them forward from there. So
the part of a character development kind of thing. So
yeah.
They introduce themselves to you for a little bit, and you're still getting to know them like a new friend.
Yeah, I mean, and sometimes I'll actually sit down and do like a whole character bio, like, okay, this is their family, and this is where they went to school, and how they grew up, and da-da-da-da, and this happened to them, and that happened, and it kind of helps, like, in anything where you kind of know where you've been, and that's kind of the only way to kind of know where you're going, is to know that. So at least that's how I work.
Well, there was, I can't remember his name, but it was an author that I was watching an interview on TV with, and he said that he used to do mock interviews with his characters.
I've heard I've heard of that too. And there's no one way. Like, everyone, especially new writers, you have to do different things and kind of figure out what is going to work best for you, because everyone works differently. Everyone's brain functions differently and processes information differently. A lot of it's just, trial and error. So
what genre are your books mostly in, or do you write in multiple genres?
Specifically urban fantasy. I dabbled a little bit in paranormal romance, but it's generally in that spec fic umbrella.
Okay. I'm kind of like reaching for straws right now because I've not read any of your stuff.
That's okay.
It's really hard to do an interview because it's like, whoa, let's see. I have no storyline.
That is okay.
It's also embarrassing, but I'll work with it.
That's it. You didn't have to admit that, but that's very brave.
I think I've told that to everybody so
like,
far.
I don't know any of your work, but I'm talking to you anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. I'm like, I've been going to school full time, and I only read what they throw in front of me at this point.
One day there will be free time for fun stuff.
Yeah. So after you get to know the characters and you're starting to move them forward and you're able to interact with them and start developing their stories, is there a technique or an environment or something that you use to help you set the tone?
Not really. Like specifically when I was writing more in the Evie books, I used to listen to a certain playlist. Very upbeat rock and roll kind of music. So that kind of helps set a little bit in your mind kind of what you're doing that day. It's like, okay, she's going to go out and kick some ass and, kill a vampire or something like that. So music mostly, because I mean, at this point, like I can just sit down and write, but sometimes that helps kind of get the mood going for what I'm doing that day.
Cool. Last question. What advice would you give to the G&T listeners just on living life? Not on your writing, not on a craft, but just everyday living life.
That's a tough question. Just try to be truthful, with yourself and with other people. There's rarely a time or situation where hiding things and lying is ever going to really help you.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Music for the G&T show is provided by Warp 11, Andrew Allen, Grethor, and 5 Year Mission. This has been a Busy Little Beaver production.
Some dude walks out, proceeds to explain what it's all about. I sure want to leave. I think you'd agree, but we cannot leave till we find out what it's all about. It's all make-believe, nothing is permanent down here. It's just an amusement park. Bones is now alive, so it's okay